Hey guys, happy VEDA, and today I wanted to bring you another little bit of information from this great book called 50 Ways to Soothe Yourself Without Food. I will put the link below to Amazon. So rather than telling you one of the 50 ways, I'm going to give you some information on that they have in the beginning of the book as to why we may use food to self-soothe. This list will provide you with some indications that you may be using food to work through your feelings. This is not an exhaustive list, but only some common examples of behaviors that people engage in when using food to deal with stress. For example, eating puts you into a trance-like state or numbs you out. Chewing and munching on something feels good. Grazing, which means eating when you aren't hungry, but you can't stop yourself, numbs you. Cravings start up from feeling any emotion, whether it be positive or negative. Searching for something to eat but not being able to find something satisfying. Continuing to eat because you can't determine or find what it is that you really want to eat. Continuing to eat even when it feels like it will never be enough. Experiencing a great sense of relief while you are eating. Feeling an intense need for something good tasting inside your mouth. Experiencing every emotion as hunger. This makes it hard to know what you are really feeling. Eating as a way to relax. Eating immediately after a stressful event or when you are nervous. Making the connection and saying, I'm only eating this candy bar because I'm so stressed out. Eating foods you don't even like because they are there and you need some comfort. Eating to stave off boredom. Feeling emotionally empty most of the time despite being well fed physically. Seeking a particular kind of food like chocolate because it seems to change your mood. Preparing or buying treats so that you'll have them just in case you need them. I've done this. I've done all these, but tending to overeat at important or stressful events like family reunions or business meetings. Eating leads to guilt when you do it for soothing rather than to stop physical hunger. So, like I said, I think I've done everything on that list. The ones that really come to my mind are the feeling cravings for food, even, well, with any emotion. So be it positive, negative, excitement, sadness, all of it brings up that feeling of wanting to eat. And I've worked a long time in therapy on this. I think I was numbed out for so long with food and with overeating that sometimes any emotion feels a little overwhelming at times. Another one, so never feeling satisfied and continuing to eat until I feel satisfied. I used to do that more than I do currently, but I definitely have had those feelings even after surgery. Not so much since I've actually gotten the sugar out of my system. It's helped tremendously with cravings. Let's see. Feeling an intense need for something good tasting in your mouth. I still feel that sometimes, and so I use a lot of breath mints to help with that. Not even because I think my breath is bad, just feeling like I want to have something in my mouth. I don't know. There's something soothing about that. Let's see. The one, preparing or buying treats so that you'll have them just in case you need them. My dietitian and I went back and forth for years on that because I would overbuy so much food because I felt like, what if I needed it in that moment? And I would overbuy things in other cases too, health and beauty products, like, you know, I'm not going to run out of shampoo tomorrow, but it's getting low, so I need to have another one waiting, and I just seem to have this fear of discomfort. And eating leads to guilt when you do it for soothing rather than to stop physical hunger. I have, even now, have ate things where, excuse me, I'll think about it after and I'm like, oh, I really wish I wouldn't have ate that. I know it wasn't good for my body. I know I really wasn't hungry at that time. So that those guilt and negative self-talk will kind of come up. But I'm so much more aware of it now that I really try to challenge that and surrender to that, yeah, I did that. Beating myself up over it for the next hour doesn't help anybody. So I'm thankful that I've come that far with that. So the other part that I thought this was interesting was the reasons why eating is self-soothing. I have always used food to self-soothe, I mean, even as a child, so that's why this book fascinates me. So number one, biochemical changes in your body. Some foods increase the amount of neurotransmitters in your brain or induce other biochemical changes that provide comfort. Often this is why people are so drawn to chocolate. Chocolate raises the levels of serotonin and other chemicals that have mood-enhancing qualities. I definitely feel like I can notice a biochemical change. I mean, with sugar, having not had it in so long, I physically feel different. Not only mentally, but physically I feel different. Conditioned emotions. Certain foods are mentally linked with emotions. Think for a moment of the feelings that arrive when you say the word chocolate to yourself. Anticipation, joy, bliss, guilt. You may experience these emotions because that's what you think you're supposed to feel. I have fond memories as a kid of being at my great-grandmother's house, and she was a feeder and she loved to feed us, and I was ready to take it. And we had a nice little relationship there on that. But there are certain foods that she fed me that still bring up emotion for me in a good way, and it's self-soothing. And I mentioned it, I think last week or the week before, but she used to take dates and slice them in half and put an almond inside. So I still eat those today, and with a fond memory, and those are foods that are on my meal plan. She used to take tomatoes, like homegrown tomatoes, which have a different flavor to me than store-bought tomatoes, and she would cut them up into chunks and put a dollop of mayonnaise on there and some salt and pepper, and then we'd mix it up, and that was my little tomato mayo salad. She made these great cookies called overnight cookies, and they were almost like a fruitcake cookie. They had maraschino cherries, they had raisins, dates, cinnamon, cloves, nuts. They were really good. So those aren't something I eat now, but if I were to smell them baking or taste them, it would take me right back. Celebration. Eating is strongly intertwined with the notion of celebration and holidays. When we celebrate, we feel good. There you go. I mean, food is at pretty much every major celebration. So for me, I often associate cake with birthdays. Innate behavior. We are not the only creatures who find innate behavior. We are not the only creatures who eat to find comfort. Some animals also turn to food to regulate their stress levels. For example, when rats are injected with stress hormones, they consume more sugar. One study suggests that, like rats, we turn to comfort foods to help balance our stress hormones. Comfort foods. Certain foods are more soothing than others, especially those high in fat and sugar. Like Ben and Jerry's, who were my boyfriends for many years. Comfort foods are edibles like mashed potatoes, macaroni and cheese, potato chips, chicken casserole, anything that tastes good and is palatable to your senses. Often these comfort foods are strongly associated with your childhood. Diverting your attention from negative feelings. Eating seems to take the edge off of negative feelings because it distracts and diverts your attention away from whatever is bothering you. When you engage in another activity, such as eating, you aren't as aware of feeling bad. In addition, you might feel bad about your eating habits rather than allow yourself to really feel bad about the issue that's going on. Yeah, makes sense, makes sense. Interrupting boredom. If you constantly need to be busy or you struggle with boredom, you may find eating an engaging task and therefore soothing. Finding food, thinking about what you want to eat, preparing it, cleaning up, takes a lot of energy. These actions feel purposeful and seem to fill the time productively. So I'm going to reread this part. If you constantly need to be busy or you struggle with boredom. So currently I'm in that mode of constantly needing to be busy. And I'm sure it is because I don't want to be sitting at home alone eating. I'm aware of it. I'm working on it. I'm watching it. But I do like to keep busy. And I think it's because I have a little bit of a fear that left to my own devices, things could get out of control again like they were in the past. So, conditioning. Parents often unintentionally reinforce the connection between self-soothing and eating very early in the child's life. Using a bottle to pacify a crying baby is a prime example. Parents finding it easier to use a bottle rather than rocking or singing the infant because the bottle works so well. Her mother gives the child a cookie to distract from the pain of a scraped knee. Again, food is associated with making the child feel better. I definitely went through this, and you know, I don't blame my parents. They just were trying their best, but you know, it made me feel a whole lot better after school when we would stop at Dairy Mart and my mom would let me buy a couple candy bars. You know, that's the truth. So I definitely experienced that. Dieting. Dieters are particularly vulnerable to emotional eating. Emotional eating provides an immediately pleasurable reward rather than working towards the distant goal of becoming healthier and slimmer. It takes a lot of thought and energy to restrain one's eating. If you're stressed out, it may be too demanding to find ways to reduce your food intake, which can lead to abandoning your diet plan. Raise your hand if you've done this. You've got your weekly weigh-in at whatever diet plan you're going to, be it Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, whatever. You weigh in, you didn't eat anything that morning, you get on the scale, you didn't drink any water, you get on the scale and it's the lowest number. You get off there and you take a big sigh, and then you say to your buddy that you've been going with, let's go eat. All right. I can't tell you how many times I did that and how many people I did that with. So I think that's our sign there that the system's broken a bit. Oh, this one, arousal. Eating may feel good because it stimulates you. Low arousal states, such as boredom, tend to increase food consumption. However, for some people, sadness and chronic stress are less likely to increase eating and may even lead to weight loss. Habit. If you do anything repeatedly, it becomes a habit. Activities that feel familiar, even if they're unhealthy, can be soothing. For example, when you go on vacation and then you return home, it's comforting to re-enter your old routines, despite the fact that you would rather be sitting on the beach under a palm tree. And the last one is modeling. It's likely that you picked up your means of coping from your early caregivers or by observing the people around you. People tend to model the eating behaviors of their caregivers. Maybe you watched your stressed out mom dive into a bag of tortilla chips whenever she returned from visiting from her super critical aunt. Or perhaps a friend suggested going out for ice cream when you had the blues. You may have to pick up the habit of eating to calm down by watching TV. Many TV commercials push the therapeutic value of food as a ploy to get you to buy their products. So, yeah, I definitely related to those, and you know, unfortunately, we model a lot of things, good, bad. We learn from each other, we watch each other, we find comfort in things that maybe our family or parents did. So, the whole point of this is that we want to better ourselves and do a better job in our daily life. So, I will continue to read out of this book. I've gotten tremendous amounts of information out of this book, and I hope this has helped you guys in some way. And I will see you tomorrow for the next VEDA. Bye.